All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the September meeting for the Correctional Industries Advisory Committee. Just as a reminder, this meeting is scheduled from 9 to 11. It is a public meeting that's being recorded, so please keep yourself.
And I am going to keep praying for you, and I'm here to support you with anything that you need.
I appreciate it.
All right, so again, as a reminder, if you could please keep yourselves muted. We will not be answering or monitoring the chat, but we will have a chance for public comment at 9:45 this morning. So again, my name is Jamie Dolan, and I'm the Director for Correctional Industries. At this time, I will take a minute for the roll call. Is Senator Matt Banky? Okay, Senator Claire Wilson. Representative Dan Griffey. Representative Mary Fossey.
Here.
Morning.
Good morning.
Christina Davis. Okay, Chris Elwell's here with us this morning. Good morning, Chris. Okay, David Aiken. Okay, Dr. Faith Lutz. Okay, Karen Dove. Lauren Taylor. Okay, Mariana Height. Mina Long.
Here.
Okay, and Terry Fortner.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay, so again, good morning. And at this time, I will turn it over to Assistant Secretary for Reentry, Danielle Armbruster.
Thanks, Jamie. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see a lot of people online, and it looks like there's quite a few people in the room, Jamie. So good morning and welcome to the CI Advisory Committee meeting for September 19th, 2024. Looking forward to the discussion this morning. We have a lot of updates for the advisory committee as well as others that have joined us this morning. We also will hear from an individual that is currently in one of our CI programs, so looking forward to that. And with that, Jamie, I will turn it back to you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Danielle. Okay, so again, Correctional Industries Advisory Committee is governed by RCW 7209-070. And it really governs the inmate work programs, classes of work 7209-100. As a reminder, the advisory committee shall make recommendations to the secretary on the work programs for correctional industries. Okay. Again, within correctional industries, we do have our set of core values. Yes. Thank you. With the mission statement, again, correctional industries being committed to maintaining and expanding work training programs which develop the marketable job skills. So again, our focus is the internal programming that leads to post-release employment opportunities. Okay, so our agenda for today, again, we'll have the business meeting. The open forum is scheduled at 9:45. We have new business at 9:50. We do have a guest speaker today with us, Mr. Cruz. And then we'll go through some old business and closing remarks. So I will turn it over to Danielle to talk a little bit about the Thailand delegation that was within Washington State.
Sure. Thank you, Jamie. Good morning. So we had the honor of hosting the Thailand delegation. So we had the directors from the women's facility that were from Thailand, and they were looking at some of the operations, not only inside Stafford Creek Correctional Center, but looking at our reentry centers. They are looking to build some type of a partial confinement program in Thailand for their women's facilities around the Bangkok rules that they have implemented, not only in Bangkok, but in Chiang Mai, which is where some of their women's facilities are located. And so they joined us a few weeks ago. We gave them a tour of the facilities and talked about some of the reentry programs that they have out in their communities, as well as some of the programs that we have and the partnerships that we have with community providers, and talking about what are best practices to help individuals transition back out into the community, and what is the coordination between the department and our community service providers that we contract with. And so lots of questions, lots of opportunity to showcase some of the things that we do around the state. And so, Jamie, I will turn it back to you. It looks like we skipped the approval of the minutes.
Thank you, Danielle. So it looks like we actually have had a few additional advisory committee members join us today. So thank you for being here. So I will step it back. Our last time that we met was on June 6th. Was there any questions from any of the advisory committee members about the minutes that were sent out regarding that meeting? Okay, with there being no questions, do I have a member that can approve the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Approval by Chris Elwell. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Terry. Thank you. Okay. So one update on license plates. I know this has been a topic of conversation. The picture that we're looking at here is actually our new license plate operation at WSP. So license plates has been in operation for roughly 100 years that we've been producing license plates for the state of Washington. We had a significant move of the operation from one area of the institution, the East Complex, which most people know as the old prison facility, and it's moved to the newer portion of the prison known as the South Complex. So some people might have been in the SPL building, the Sustainable Practices Lab. That's where this is housed, and it's now accessible to medium custody and close custody incarcerated individuals. So with that being said, the journey of license plates over the last 3 years with this move really began in June of 2021. Obviously, we know that was in the thick of COVID. We were trying to run an operation and with constant struggles because of obviously the world where we were at with raw materials, with shipment of product, with movement of product, with internal challenges. That's really where we started seeing some challenges within that operation. In May of 22 is really where we decided, okay, it's time. Our equipment has been around since the 50s. We need to move it into a more new age lab. So that's, we had a physical space available in the South Complex in that SPL building. So May of 22 is really where we began the new process of working with vendors on purchasing equipment. And then that following month, ironically, our digital printer, which most people know prints the vanity plates. So those are the specialty plates like a University of Washington plate or Patches PAL plate. That piece of equipment just died. It was no longer operational. There was no way the manufacturer could fix it. And so we were already in the process of moving the license plate factory. And so that decision was made. So that was really in June of 2022. Here we are in September of 2024. And really that journey for that about 2.5 years, is really what it took to purchase new equipment, go through a public works project, feasibility studies, electrical load studies, having equipment installed, UL inspections by local county, and new fire suppression system in this area, because obviously codes have changed over the years. And so, we're happy to say that in July of this year, so just a couple months ago, we were able to open up the new factory. So, with new equipment occasionally comes challenges. And so, so we got the new equipment up and running, and then we had a couple issues with it. I am really happy to say that as of today, both new printers are fully operational and they're running. We have a full crew of incarcerated workers that are working in the new license plate operation, and back in full production. So, it really was a couple year journey to where we are today. So, just wanted to share that update and pause if there's any questions from the advisory committee members. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Just an update for the advisory committee on our BLT project, Microsoft Dynamics 365. This has been a multi-year endeavor project. We have had a successful win for the project recently. We had to go live for timekeeping module. When we talk about like a business-led transformation, this is truly the first opportunity for us as a department to affect 5 facilities and go live and roll this out. So right now the project is moving into like the 30, 60, 90-day stabilization period. Some of the project work that is involved in the 30-day update is like bug fixes, continuing support for the facility staff, open study halls to be able to progress into the 60-day. And then we also get team health surveys, how the facilities are feeling about the timekeeping module. Is it getting easier? What's the level of effort to get more training out there to staff at the facility level? So huge win for the project. Over the next quarter, we'll focus on the remaining lines of business that we know we can do right now. Food manufacturing has been a huge business. There's a lot of data associated with the old system into the new system. Right now, they're working on deeper dive training, understanding standard operating procedures for production, and really getting into the detail of learning D365 to move towards user acceptance testing. That'll be the next phase for the project. I'll just open it up to for questions. If anybody on the advisory board is interested in learning a little bit more about what we're doing on the project, then we're ready for questions. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the point where we're just gonna highlight some of our operations within correctional industries and provide a status update on where we're at. Ryan?
Good morning. Start off with Braille. One of our 2 transcribers that was recently as of this report were recently released, it's been a little while now. For WCCW was hired as a contractor for Ogden Resource Center upon release. Full update for that. Since that time, that individual has applied and is working for the Secretary of State Library as a transcriber now. So she's working for the state, and we couldn't be more happy for her. Internally, we've had quite a bit of movement, however. We had 2 apprentices successfully pass their manuscript that were promoted to transcribers. Another apprentice was hired as a tactile specialist, and a transcriber successfully passed her manuscript, earning the certification for being a nationally recognized transcriptionist. Our supervisor over that area is working with an apprentice mentor on a syllabus for tactile lessons. And with the successful launch of the in-house Namath test that was generated out of the Braille operation that's being used nationally, we've had 4 tests from other states that have been sent to our Braille services just for validation and testing. Braille is a very necessary thing for those that are visually impaired. That if anybody has any questions on what those tests might look like, I know that I can't read them, but if you'd like to see those or have examples of those, I'd be happy to get copies. Computer aided design services, which supports our furniture operation. During this reporting period, drafted 38 jobs at a total value of 1.5 million. The installation of the new CI reception station and administrators area here at DOC or CI headquarters that was designed by a program participant was completed and installed, and looks wonderful. And a drafters of proficiency and knowledge on how to cut out new drilling for power provided a customer with a major cost savings on a really large project. I hope that next time that we meet that we'll be able to provide some updates. We got approval to move forward with charging a very small percentage of orders that require drafting fees to help cover the costs of computer aided design. Previously, this has been a free service that we provided to our customers. However, this will provide us opportunity to recoup costs for the incarcerated gratuity, IT equipment, and hopefully we'll actually be able to update our software and our rendering software to provide a more quality product to our customers.
You ready? Sure. Well, I can give a quick update on the trades-related apprenticeship coaching program, the AJAC Manufacturing Academy program, and then our flaggers initiatives. It's gone really well. We had 7 track students complete the class at WCCW here not too long ago. 14 AJAC Manufacturing Academy participants graduated also. And a little typo. Probably my error, should be 150 flaggers participants in 5 facilities, not 15. So the flaggers classes that we're working with have very robust attendance all over the place. So very well received. Quite a few programming hours and certificates being issued there. So those have been really good. We have a couple track graduates that have joined the laborers union in this reporting period. And a couple other AJAC graduates that have become employed in the manufacturing industry. A big win for us was during this reporting period, we had our first full-time instructor-led class. That it wasn't a virtual class or a hybrid class. It was a 100% instructor-led model. So that was great. And that'll be the model continuing forward until we finish out the grant. Traffic control classes are great. We keep adding facilities. We have added Coyote Ridge now and Monroe. So we've been adding facilities and getting more flaggers classes out there. So graduation for track was on time on August 15th. And really looking at our strategic priorities, we're right on point there. We already started class 68 with 10 students at Mission Creek. And we're starting the fall quarter of AJAC at Shelton WCC on September 30th. So, and a big news there is we're actually adding a Haas CNC programming simulator into there that's been purchased for that. So they'll actually get, the students will actually get hands-on programming practice. And then it shines onto a screen via a projector. So it'll run a program, virtual program for that simulator. So very exciting to be able to do that.
Well, and this is the second mail facility.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Exciting. Thank you. Okay, food manufacturing, just a couple highlights here. With food manufacturing, with ongoing just normal production, they've really been focusing on our D365 program. So food manufacturing is slated to be the next line of business to move on to this new IT software. So while all of our staff that are currently, operating supervising the operations on a daily basis, working with our incarcerated workers, they're also working on the IT system, learning how to navigate it, as again, it ties into all of our manufacturing processes in terms of bills of material, inventory management, transfer of goods. So it's a considerable amount of work, while staff are already in their just regular, normal operations. Again, food manufacturing just continues to work with the Department of Corrections on sourcing alternate products. So for example, we have the DNR work crews, and when they're in active firefighting, we're ensuring that they're getting the caloric needs that they need to be met in terms of nutritional targets and with regards to protein and items like that. So strong collaboration with the state dietitian, food manufacturing, and food service. One thing that's always important, because we utilize a lot of the equipment in that operation. So with the safety review, the highlighted areas of focus that resulted in measurable decrease in accident reporting from lifting, strains, and pulls. So again, we take safety very seriously. Our incarcerated workers, I think most people on the advisory committee know this, that they do have access to L&I. We pay L&I insurance on all of them. And so just no different than staff, we want to make sure that they're trained on equipment properly, that they're following appropriate processes and protocols. So. And next up with food services. So again, we continuously work to make menu changes on the men's and the women's DGA, which is Dietary Guidelines for Americans menus. Food services continues to meet with local manufacturers in Washington State. They continue to have conversations on opportunities to support purchases from small businesses. Sometimes it can be challenging just because, feeding 35,000 meals a day is a very large amount for a small business, but that's something we continue to collaborate on. We continue to network, of course, with a variety of religious organizations to ensure that we're meeting the needs of all of the variety of subgroups that we have, such as our halal and our kosher diets. We also have a variety of other medical diets.
Okay, moving on to furniture brand sales. We've had a regenerative interest in our metal line of residential furniture. University of Washington has expressed an interest in purchasing up to 400+ rooms of that metal line in the summer of 25. Columbia Basin College, 400+ rooms projected to be completed in spring of 26. And we had University of Hawaii reach out to us several years ago. Expressed an interest as well, and that kind of went away, but they've now brought those conversations back and are expressing that interest once again. In order to increase our visibility of our product offerings, we've placed multiple product lines, adding to our online marketplace to improve that customer ease of ordering. Several product categories have been reviewed and pricing adjusted based off of supply chain costs and transportation fees. We're also looking at adding some new products. We have a couple of in-house, more economical options for desking that will be coming online very soon. And just very interested if the advisory committee has any items they see that are out there in office spaces or lobby areas of businesses that they visit that they think might be a good opportunity for us to take a look at. So please share your ideas. Furniture manufacturing. The new equipment, the CNC machine edge bander are in place, and the technicians have been out and have done their initial startup and training for both the staff and the incarcerated. We are working and have actually completed several commercial casework projects of cabinetry that it provides our state agencies and our non-mandated customers with another avenue to meet the needs for their break rooms, mail rooms, pill rooms, conference rooms, et cetera. We hope to have a sample also added to our showroom in the coming months so that anybody that's here visiting, including all of you, can take an opportunity to kind of see the design of that and the improvements we're able to do.
The incarcerated services program, which includes the commissary operation and the package program and our bulk sales operation. We continue to meet the increased production demands that we've seen recently. Actually, not necessarily recently. It's been at least a year now that we've seen the increased production. So we've had a decrease in the vacancy rate of both of our, in regards to incarcerated workers and our staff. So continue to provide on-time deliveries to the facilities. The end of fiscal year inventory for variance was very low again this year. We had a 0.5% inventory variance. So the staff and the incarcerated workers have been taking control of the inventory account very seriously and done a great job at the end of fiscal year this year. As I mentioned, we've had the increased production demand, which was a result of Senate Bill 5131. So this has been in place for just over a year now. It was July of 2023. So for fiscal year 2024, which just ended June 30th, we saw an increase of 36% in sales, just the total dollar amount spent. But the actual number of orders, so the increase in the number of people placing orders only increased by 1.5%. So there was a significant increase in just the amount of money that individuals had to spend in the commissary operation. This past year, we introduced a new Best Choice food product. And so for those who might not be aware, we have best and better categories for our the food that is sold through the commissary. So better choices are the healthier ones, or best is the healthiest options. Better is still a good choice. And then the ones that are not marked are just a regular choice. So that would be like your chips and your cookies aren't going to be labeled best or better. But we had a new Best Choice product added this past year, and it is the Kirkland Chewy Protein Bar. It's the same protein bar you guys will see if you go into Costco. They sell them in a box of, I think, 48. We sell them individually in the commissary. And we're averaging about 70,000 bars per month being sold to the population. So that was a big increase in a healthy item that's being put out through the commissary. The package program also saw record participation in fiscal year 2024. This was based a large part into two new products that were added to the property program. One was a larger television, flat screen television, so it's a 19-inch. I believe we were the first state to offer this size of a television. And then the other was a mini gaming system. So those two products proved to be very popular with the population in fiscal year 24. Are there any questions from the advisory committee? I'd be happy to answer.
Just from the committee right now. Right. Yeah.
Right. Good morning. In regards to laundry,
I have a question. What is the price point on that larger size TV that's being sold that we're so proud of?
You know, we have the open public forum at 9:45. Thank you.
right, good morning. In regards to the laundry, this last fiscal year, we were able to complete the equipment replacement and installation of the equipment we purchased throughout all state facilities and get that completed. We did transition the equipment to the Department of Corrections now, and they will be the ones overseeing those equipment purchases moving forward. We have 10 individuals in the process of getting their Association of Linen Management certifications. getting those completed right now, and 16 others have completed for those certifications, and that's ongoing throughout all of our laundries. And this being an advisory committee, one question I would pose, we've run a large scale laundry operation, and when you think about it, it's basically you get dirty laundry in, you clean it and get it out, and thinking about those individuals and the work that they do, when they're releasing, what could we be doing better for helping those individuals prepare for work on the outside, and what directions could we point them in as they're releasing? So would love to gather any input. If you'd like to email me or give me a call anytime, I'd love to hear it. Not putting you on the spot today with feedback, but please feel free to reach out. Give us any input, because sometimes we just kind of get lost in the day to day, and love any input that anybody from the committee has. So yeah, that's my report out on laundry. And now we'll move to license plates, or licensing services, as we're now calling it. And Jamie reported out a lot on the majority of this, and we are very pleased to now have the new shop open and operating. We have had a number of challenges in that area. We believe we're getting over those hurdles now. Much of that working with very closely with our partners at the Department of Licensing, and also in collaboration with the Department of Corrections, and getting over some of those hurdles. As far as our operation at Monroe, where we do the licensing tabs, we've completed a number of large orders for Department of Licensing there, and are very pleased with that operation and how they're doing up there. So we believe that we're rounding the corner now and finally getting ourselves in a much better place for not only DOL, but for the citizens of the state of Washington. And again, this being a collaborative committee meeting, again, I pose a question to all of you. We've put new technology in place, trying to give our incarcerated workers some valid skills for taking out when they leave us. In thinking around that, what are the next logical steps that we could take with these folks as they're developing? We do get them in the area that they work now. We have them for a longer period of time, so we're able to hopefully get them through the Making It Work trainings, get them through different certifications, more than one certification, hopefully now, since we do have them for a longer period. What can we do to really build that portfolio to strengthen the individual for when they release? And again, I'm not putting you on the spot to give me answers now, but would love to hear any ideas or thoughts you have. We're just helping to build them up, to get them ready, get them prepared to get out there, and different directions we can point them with the kind of skills that they're learning with. They're learning a lot of things on computer-aided drafting, on inputting on into a computer system, on loading data, on production, on trying to meet production quotas and things like that. So just pose that to the committee, and that's where I'll leave it right now, unless anyone has any
I'll
questions.
pause there for a minute, because I appreciate that question. One thing, as I don't know that the committee knows this, but as a reentry division, we on a yearly basis go around and we do what's called the Reentry Roadshow, where we visit all 11 prison facilities, all the reentry centers, McNeil Island and headquarters, to talk with the staff and take tours and some of the operations, and just have those questions, right? How can we better support? How can we be on this journey of continuous improvement? And I know, one of the feedback, of course, and I know we've talked about this in past meetings, is mock interviews, right? The resurrection of those. We're actually scheduled to be at Airway Heights next week, meeting with our incarcerated workers and going through that process next week, where we have employers from the outside coming in. But one of the big feedback we hear, and that we've heard over the last year, is financial literacy, right? And that talks about, short-term paying off that, long-term financial planning, writing a budget, how do you balance a checkbook? And so our workforce development team has instituted financial literacy classes, which have been very well received And so I know we would, like to have capacity to increase those, but I know one thing we keep hearing about as well, and we've been having conversations offline with education, is on digital literacy. And so I think that's another opportunity that we'd be, interested in engaging with anybody on the committee on what that looks like, digital literacy, right? Because we know that we're living in a new age of technology, and just computers and Wi-Fi. And I know Vicki spoke a little bit about D365, and that's a cloud-based system, and we're moving forward with Wi-Fi capabilities at Airway Heights. And so think of big companies like Amazon that do scanning inventory in and out. That's the type of technology that our incarcerated workers will be using. It's called RF Smart. And so we're in process of integrating that with our new technology. But I really appreciate that question, Todd. And so again, if anybody on the committee has additional feedback that they'd like to provide, we're certainly all ears on how we can integrate that to our current processes.
All right, moving to McNeil Island. The marine vessel Chinook will return from dry dock on June 25th, and the team out there quickly began installing the new seating and flooring that has since been completed. But with those upgrades in the seating and flooring of the vessel, it also changed the percentage of weight, or the weight of the boat. And so we are currently working with a outside vendor to do some Coast Guard compliance to be able to bring that boat back into use daily on the turns. The pre-design for the dock and passenger ferries that were in progress, we've actually received the pre-designed proposals for the ferries, ranging from a conventional single hull, which we currently have, all the way up to a catamaran style, all electric, and then anything in between. Pricing, ranging between 6 to 12 million, depending on what option. So we'll continue to review those, and as we move forward to request legislative funding to move to construction. The loss system for the wastewater treatment facility, the land application is for the final effluent is still in progress with our capital team. On our fuel farm, we did the side load conversion for the fuel farm that was completed. Provides a safer fueling operation for staff safety and spill risk reduction. And we continue to look at the fuel farm enhancements, changes that we can do to increase that safety and ensure that we're in regulatory compliance.
Okay, optical update for the committee. This last quarter, Airway Heights Optical completed, or actually began, their third AVO prep class through the American Board of Opticianry. The optical class basically covers the fundamentals of the optics, and it lends itself to the manufacturing of the eyewear. So it goes over ocular anatomy and the various disorders of the eye, and how the lab workers are able to put all of that information into the actual manufacturing of the eyewear. We've actually found a positive effect in providing this prep class, because it looks like it's minimizing the amount of breakage in the manufacturing process. And then future state, we are hoping to partner with education to be able to proctor the certification. It's a timing situation here. Those that are getting close to their release date, we are hoping to hold that testing for them through education to be able to get their certs. This is one of those skills that when you actually go out and look for employment in this field, it's a benefit to the incarcerated, be able to gain employment if they have that additional prep and training associated with, through the APO. And then also recently in August, we had Airway Heights that was featured in an article labeled A Second Chance to Serve the Community. We had folks interviewed at Airway Heights Optical, and just shared their story. It's available on iDoc for those of you that are interested in seeing the article. And I believe I shared that with Terry, one of our Eastern Washington committee members, on just what's going on over in that side of the state, to partnership with some of the local employment opportunities available over there as well.
All right, safety and risk management. I'm happy to report that we've seen a continued decrease in the number of accidents that we've had at each of our facilities. We continue to hold monthly safety meetings with our staff and incarcerated. Those are combined meetings, so everyone receives the same message and same training each month. All of our staff completed 100% of their annual in-service trainings, and also their cognitive coaching training that was required for the year. Like any business, especially production business and manufacturing business, we monitor and measure the number of accidents, any trends, common occurrences, levels of incidents, corrective measures that are taken, and reporting and so on. And so again, if anyone on the committee has any additional ideas on or input that they'd like to give on, some things that we could additionally be looking at to work with our staff and incarcerated on, what's happening out in the world as far as risk and safety management, and things that we should continue to build upon and share with them as they're going out into the working world. Please feel free to share those with me, and I'll move those along, because we definitely want to let them know here's what kind of world you're moving into, because we know that things are definitely moving quickly out in the work world. So I want to be sure to share that with them. Thank you.
Moving on to service and delivery. So as of June 30, we only had 6 furniture installations and deliveries that were not completed. Most of those jobs were scheduled for August and have since been finished for our customers. Historically, we do get a large amount of orders in towards fiscal year end, and it can be, kind of a frustrating time, and for everybody, from the customer to our installers to our employees. However, we really put a heightened focus on increasing communication with all stakeholders internally and externally. And that sense of frustration really wasn't there this year. And so we just continue to hope to build on that communication, build those relationships with our external customers, and continue that success that we had this year. We did have some asset replacements that were done or that were approved for this last year, a box truck and some replacement chassis. And even though we're starting to see in our daily lives that things are more readily available and less lead times, in the world of purchasing commercial trucks, that's not the case. There still is a 16 to 24 month lead time. And so we were fortunate in working with some of the dealers that they had some items that others had passed on, and we were able to get in and get those added to provide a more reliable fleet to our staff. Thank you.
All right, for textiles, quite a bit going on in that group. So we've been working with the Department of Social and Health Services to establish a security uniform with that group. They've been trying to develop that for their custody staff, something standard across all of their different units. We have Coyote Ridge Correction Center. They're currently part of the site that's manufacturing the gender responsive clothing for the facilities around the state. And we have WCC, or Washington Correction Center, out in Shelton. They've increased their production capabilities on some of the incarcerated garments out of that facility. So we have a lot of production going on currently. We're seeing some good business happening as far as the embroidery and screen printing going on. It's now primarily taking place at Airway Heights. So good things going on around the state. And so one more time, here I am again asking for input, but beyond the zoning and production and quality control and things like that we try to teach our workers, are there?
Hey Todd, I'm gonna pause.
Yes. I just saw
Pause
that
here.
was.
Yep, it's 9:45 for the public open comment. We've got 5 minutes. So I know we have a gentleman in the room that raised your hand earlier. Wanted to circle back to you if you had a question. I think it was related to commissary.
So I did 33 years in prison. My name's Dwayne.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I did 33 years in prison and I worked for CI a lot in that time. I probably made $1 million license plates, right?
Yeah.
And I actually worked with Ron Alexander and I made all the digital prints for like 4 years.
Wow.
So that's a great program, right? And I know that you've gone to all just lithographic prints, right? So you're just running one substrate.
It's basically digital printing, yeah.
So, and that's for everything, right? So no longer are you embossing any of that stuff, right?
They're embossed. There's also
They're
embossed plate,
printed.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's almost a reverse process from what you saw.
so, really?
Yeah. Technology.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
I'm an analog person, right? And someone said something about digital literacy.
Mhm.
Look at the phone they gave me.
Yeah.
Right, this is what I got coming out of prison. I didn't get any training on how to use anything, so I'm figuring all of this stuff out now. If CI could provide that source for everyone, not for any guys that are just releasing, because I had Life Without a year ago. I had Life With a year ago, and then I was directly released.
Yeah.
So I'm on the ground just trying to figure this stuff out. Luckily, I know Miss Taylor, and she's really being supportive and helpful. If you guys can maybe do a wraparound with people in the prisons and help them. I mean, work is great, right? I mean, everybody has to work. Prices have to come down. Right, because we can't afford that and our family can't afford it. I mean, someone said something about, products. No one looks at I never looked at a healthy choice. I looked at price, right? And then I looked at protein. Because we don't get enough in prison. We eat a carb heavy diet. So need to offer more things for the inmate population,
Mhm.
right? I'm not trying to toe a line,
No, yeah.
I just think that we need to be more cognizant of the guys that are spending time in there and price points that are made. Because, when we're at our pay level even though that it's been increased, prices have increased. So it's almost like, they correlate with each other and it's hard for us to get things. I got to a point where I did not want to work for CIA because I personally felt like they didn't have my back. That if I got in a little bit of trouble, you're just fired, you're out of there. Right? And I felt like they should at least be like, hey, what's going on? Act like you're an employee. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, talk, corrective action. I want to back up to a couple statements in terms of the digital literacy,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that there's two ways in that. I know CI, we only work with, obviously we're a voluntary work program, right? We have about 1,600 incarcerated workers statewide out of a population right now of roughly 13,000. So quick math, 10%. So we're only touching roughly 10% of the DOC population at any given time. So, within our work programs, our workforce development team is constantly exploring, how can we add to enhance our current work training programs? But I know on a whole, the reentry division is also looking at that. I mean, we've got the reentry navigators and, I know that there's even conversation about, reentry life skills, which obviously digital literacy is a huge component of that. I know our reentry navigators when they're, working with men and women releasing, going to either a reentry center or straight into just, just released. There's anxiety of even like at the grocery store, right? Like self-scanning, right? That's very new. And so we're talking about how do we get that type of either demos or, information into the facilities prior to release so that it's not stepping out and saying, wait, I have to do this myself. There's nobody doing this for me. And so it's a very, yes. And so I really appreciate the feedback and the conversation, and we'd like to engage with you more. I do know that, we're at time right now.
Jamie, I'm gonna jump in really quick. So, we failed to mention at the beginning of the open forum that people have 2 minutes for the open forum so that we make sure that we have time for individuals to speak to the advisory committee. So let's extend it because I see we have Kaylani and Jacob have their hands up, and they had their hands up during the open forum. I also want to just mention that if individuals from the public would like to present to the CI Advisory Committee, there's opportunity to reach out to Jamie Dolan and request time on the agenda so that you have more than the 2 minutes allotted during the open forum. But Jamie, I see Kaylani's hand is up first, and then Jacob, I see your hand is up second. If you could just limit your time to 2 minutes, Kaylani.
No problem. Thank you, Danielle. Sorry, I was asking the question in the chat and I realized that DOC doesn't answer everything in there. But I would like to know, on the report, the annual report, it stated that there was $34.8 million that went to Washington State economy. How am I able to obtain the breakdown of those numbers? Because I'd really like to know where it helped in the economy for Washington.
Kaylani, I think that's a great question. We can provide all of that information through public disclosure. Just as a side note, that number comes from the goods and services that we purchase in Washington State. So raw materials, things that we use to produce products within correctional industries. But we'd be happy to share all of that detailed information with you.
Okay, so just for clarity here, 2 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
This statement that is in your report is misleading. And it doesn't state that it's the products that you guys bought from individuals or companies in Washington. So just a thought, like it really should be more detailed because more people are going to get involved with stuff like this, Danielle. So just true transparency would be great. Thank you.
I appreciate the feedback, Kaylani. I think it's a great suggestion. And when we get ready for the next annual report, we'll take that into note. Thank you, Kaylani.
Thank you.
Jacob?
Hey, good morning, Danielle.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So I have a question. When are we going to see the addition to this committee, to this space with incarcerated people, previously incarcerated, people who are system impacted? I see that Megan Prairie is here. Megan Stanwood, excuse me. Why aren't we creating space for people with lived experience in this committee?
I think that's a great question, Jacob. It's open to, so we have 9 voting members on the advisory committee. So there is, sorry, can you still hear me?
I can.
Yeah. Okay. There are 3 that represent business. So anybody in the business community, that could be somebody that's previously incarcerated that works inside a business. We have 3 labor positions and then 3 at-large positions. And then we have 2 Senate positions and 2 representative or House of Representative positions. Anybody is welcome to join those as long as they fit within those criterias. But we would welcome individuals with previous experience inside that have been inside the facilities.
So then in actuality, what we might need to seek then is a legislative change to the statute to increase the board to include 2 incarcerated people, because what you just detailed to me is simply first come, first serve, and whoever's the best positioned is going to be able to join. It doesn't seem to have any specificity, again, to the people with lived experience. as we all know, I'm very critical of the Department of Corrections. We seem to be professionals in this space at showcasing the very small percentage of successes while ignoring the 95+% of failures. I understand as an agency that needs to continue trying to build a positive face that's a necessary strategy. Earlier, I asked what the price point is for this TV that we're so proud that we're selling. I believe it's $295, an extraordinary expense. It's shifted to families and loved ones so that we can fund a betterment fund, right? May I ask why Correctional Industries allows Union Supply to charge us these horribly disproportionate prices that are not held anywhere else, would be completely just laughed out of the market space? Why does Correctional Industries permit this?
So Jacob, I want to go back to your original question for the board and the membership. So we would need a legislative change to have individuals specific with lived experience to be added to the committee members. I think the department is open to that, and that is something that could be discussed with the representatives and the senators that are on the phone.
I see Representative Fossey and Senator Wilson here, so I mean, I'll certainly reach out to them.
Right. And then your second question regarding Union Supply, that's a partnership that we have with Union Supply. We continue to always try and find the best prices. Yes, some of the prices like you spoke about the TV, I don't know the price off the top of my head, Jacob, but always looking for opportunities to lower those prices. I know that Lindsay spoke about incarcerated services, which includes commissary and package program. To ensure that we're offering the best prices possible. And so, that will just continue. So thank you for your questions.
Yeah. Thank you for whatever this version of an answer was.
All right, thank you, Danielle, for extending the open public forum and allowing that space. And again, just as that reminder, like Danielle stated, there's opportunity to reach out before the next meeting if there's additional specific questions that you want to engage in. So with that being said, we will move on. Workforce development.
Just to
Yeah.
put a bow on the tech sales piece again, and this is for the committee. If there's any innovations or thoughts that you have around some textile items that we haven't considered producing, definitely all ears on things that maybe we haven't considered introducing to our workers and to grow their skills and ours as well in our portfolio. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Workforce development. So as of June 30th, we have trained about 245 CI staff in cognitive coaching. So this cognitive coaching class is meant to be the companion sort of supervisor version of the Making It Work program that our incarcerated workers attend. And so it's to help supervisors understand what the incarcerated population is learning, the things that they're working to work on while they're working with us. So it's helping supervisors be able to model the behaviors that we're hoping the workforce is also getting. So 245 staff were trained in that as of June 30th. So we're still working to complete the full staff training so that all supervisors have attended. So that work will continue over the next few months. Since April, Jamie mentioned the financial literacy classes that our workforce development team is now instructing. We have an average attendance of about 20 workers per class. We've held classes at CI headquarters, Washington Correction Center for Women, Stafford Creek Correction Center, and Monroe Correctional Complex. I know we're working to have one at Airway Heights. I think it's currently ongoing. So as of this report, it hadn't been held there yet. And then what you see on the screen is the new workforce development shop boards. And so these are about 3 foot by 5 foot. and they're posted in every single CI shop. There's a few shops that we're going to be hitting over the next couple of months, but all shops will have this new board, and it just kind of visualizes the process of coming to work in CI and what kind of things what pathway you're on and what skills and abilities, what opportunities there are. The bottom right, if you'll notice, there's a little success story. So we've featured a couple individuals who have released and are working in their communities. Along with this, there's a new check sheet that incarcerated can use to kind of understand where they should be with how many years there might be left to serve. Like, so what kind of things should they have accomplished? When should they start prepping their resume? What kind of reach out is available, as far as at some point they should reach out to ESD maybe and get their full workforce record from the Employment Security Department. Those kind of activities to kind of give them a good benchmark of where they should be in their journey. And then lastly, I'll just mention the mock interviews. Our next event, the one in June was canceled. Unfortunately, we have one we've rescheduled. It is actually next week, the Tuesday and Wednesday at Airway Heights. So we're very excited. So I'll report out in December following that event. And we'd just like to invite the committee members, if you would like to volunteer at these events in the future, we can let you know when we have them scheduled. It's a great opportunity to allow individuals to practice their interviewing skills using fictitious companies hiring for realistic workers. And so if you are interested in participating, or if you have any ideas on how we can engage other employers in your local communities to be parts of these events, that's also a great opportunity for employers to see the individuals that are coming out of our out of departments. So any ideas, please feel free to reach out to me. So thank you very much.
All right, so for new business, future of CI shops. As of right now, we do not have any additional operations in the works. I know we'll talk a little bit later today about the closure of WCCW and Airway Heights Textiles, but as of this point, we do not have any additional operations that are going to be going into those spaces. So I just wanted to share that with the committee.
Okay, so I'm going to report out on Reentry 2030. The governor signed an updated executive order that includes 9 state agencies, as well as the governor's reentry council, to focus on continuing to provide services for individuals that are transitioning back out into the community, as well as programming inside the facilities. We also signed on, we were the 6th state to sign on to Reentry 2030 Monday. We are working towards creating subcommittees to think about how that work will intersect not only in the department, but with our community partners, as well as the incarcerated population voice, to ensure that they have a seat at the table to bring their perspectives of what individuals need. We will have multidisciplinary teams within the other state agencies. As I spoke at the beginning, there's 9 state agencies that are listed in the executive order. And so we will be working with all of them and report back to the governor on an annual basis of the work that we have done. This initiative is from the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and we will receive technical support from Council of State Governments, as well as looking at opportunities if there's opportunities for intersection with the other 5 states that have signed on to Reentry 2030. So looking forward to the conversations for this initiative. Also looking forward to how we can have the incarcerated population's voice at the table to ensure that we are building meaningful programs and getting the things that individuals need prior to release and when they're back out in the community. Jamie, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Danielle. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Jim Nelson at Coyote Ridge Corrections Center. He should be online with our guest speaker for today, Mr. Donovan Cruz. And so, Jim, if I could have you introduce Donovan.
Good morning. Can you see me all right and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this quarter speaker is Mr. Donovan Cruz from County Ridge. So I'll give you just a real quick bio on him, then I'll turn the chair over to him. Mr. Cruz is a long-term minimum custody level individual. He served 9 years in the Air Force before his incarceration. He worked in CI Food Factory from 2018 to 2020. He then started working for Workforce Development in March of 21 and is still in that position. Mr. Cruz enjoys spending his time learning and assisting others in any way he can, whether it be to help them find a job, sign up for classes, or preparing them for release. Others out in the units are always seeking him out for assistance and guidance outside of work. He has a long list of accomplishments during his time here, and it really is a long list. So given that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Cruz and give him the seat.
Thank you, Jim.
How's everybody doing today?
Hi,
My name is
morning.
Donovan Cruz. I came here in my 30s, and it was a different ordeal. Like a lot of guys come here, when they're, coming from juvie, or they come in their youth, and it's a different ball game. Fortunately, the Air Force had it wasn't a hard transition. When I first got here, I was in a fog state. So I was alcoholic, and I had done something. I'm not going to go into full detail, but I took a bunch of things that I can't give back, and I wish I can change them, every day. As far as it's concerned, when I got to Shelton, I knew that I needed to do something. I just didn't fully know what exactly to do. So I saw one of the intake staff members, and I was asking him just, hey, what could I do? Like, there's got to be something that I could do to help me make my time better, not necessarily my time better, but myself better. And he looked at me and said, basically, I'd never forget what he said too. He said, an individual in your position doesn't really get those opportunities for a long time, so you might as well try to find something else to do. Maybe take up cards or something. So just a backstory, I got 23 years. So I it really just didn't know how to take that. So it was all right. Fast forward a few months, they sent me to County Ridge. So I've been here ever since 2018. I get here, and I'm still just trying to figure out what's going on. Like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. So I contact the education department. Hey, I want to do education. They say, no, you have too much time. I see some of the guys, they're leaving, they're going to CI. It's like, hey, I want to work. They said, you got to wait a year. You got too much time. It was a thing, a constant thing. So I didn't really know what to do. So I went to sleep. I slept for a year. It wasn't until one of my cellies, was actually a lifer, I was a medium. He came to me and was like, hey, you gonna sleep away your time? You gonna just give up and let it be? And I needed that. Like, granted, he had ulterior motives. He wanted me to sit in the cell all day because he wanted some free time. But as far as it's concerned, it hit me, and I was like, yeah, okay. I shouldn't sit here and mope, but I shouldn't do all this other stuff. So I go down to the counselor, and I'm asking him. Now, mind you, I get to County Ridge in the fall of 2017, and I'm asking the counselor, hey, I contacted education, there's got to be some way to, get in there. He's like, usually they don't. It's not really something that's, going to happen. Maybe, try in 10 years. I'm just like, I can't just sit around and do nothing. Like, you want me to, sit here and, learn all the negative things? You want me to, go and, attack people or something? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, there's got to be something that I can do. Now, I'm asking for help, like basically. So he's seeing, that I need something. He puts me in, some of these other programs like Toastmasters and AA. So I do that until, we come up with a plan to be able to, get into education. So by the winter of 18, I'm taking a Compass test. Now, it was an aggressive plan, but we made it happen. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know when I would have been able to do education. And really on a side note, as far as the education, as of today, I have 2 associate's degrees, one in business administration, one in human and social services. And then by the end of November, I'll have the bachelor's degree finished. Oh, and then I have that certificate for the entrepreneurship. So I've been in education since 2018. Granted, since I have a lot of time, they kind of, make it to where I have to pick last, but at least I get to pick. So back to the education. I'm sitting there, I'm doing the things. I'm going to class, I'm trying to, stay out of the, the negative stuff. And I'm pretty successful with that. The year passes to where I can, do CI. And one of my friends, he goes and he sets me up at the food factory, through whatever process it was. So I go directly into RTE. So I'm a meat slicer, and it's cold and miserable, but I'm doing it because I know, for me, I need to stay busy, because if I don't, bad things happen. So I just knew at that point in time that this would be the path, and this is, be what I would do. So I'm working through the ranks, as you so to speak, kind of like how I did in the military, but I'm working through the ranks. I'm doing the meat slicer, and then I kind of move up to kind of being a lead, so to speak, and then I hit a major obstacle. They fire me because they say I'm stealing. And, it took me by surprise. I'm shocked. I'm like, I don't steal. Like, I'm not a thief. I know what to do. I get sent back. One of the guards, he tells me, hey, just on your reaction, I feel that you didn't do that, but just wait it out, and just see how the process goes. Process worked itself out. They checked the cameras, and it was said that it couldn't have been me based off of where I was at and then where these people were. So I'm back at work. I fought my way back. I get back to work, and they're saying, hey, you want to be a QC? Of course I want to be a QC. That'd be great. So I do that. Well, all the while I'm going to school, and I'm working, and I'm trying to make these things happen. And I'm having these conversations with some of these clerks, and it's really funny how this happened. But we're talking about religion, and we're talking about how we should treat each other, and how we should treat each other while we're in here, and how we should treat each other out there. And I don't know how the conversation segued to this point in time where we're talking about embarrassment. I was saying, my time in the service, I just don't feel it the same way. Like, they were making jokes saying I was sensitized or something. But as far as it's concerned, the next day, this guy, we're in breakfast, and he gets the whole chow hall to sing me happy birthday. So I'm sitting there looking around, and I'm like, wait, I'm saying guards too. Guards, R&Ms, inmates that I don't know. Everybody is singing me happy birthday. And I'm like, this is all right. This is cool. All right, whatever. So I'm thinking that's done. And I'm thinking that, it's the day is going to be it. I need to hurry up and get to work so I can clear some departments and get the day started. So I get to work, and I see my clipboard out of place. And I'm like, wait, why is this sitting right here? So I open it, and pop, there goes all the confetti everywhere. And I'm sitting there I don't know what to do. Like, what's really going on? And so I'm trying to, pick this stuff up. They're telling me to go do it, do what I'm supposed to do. So I'm running over there, And I hit the first apartment, it was Wares. Everybody in there starts singing happy birthday. And I'm like, oh, so this is an ongoing thing. All right, cool, whatever. That's fine. So long story short, I'm not gonna go through each department that whole day. Happy birthday, burrito line. I walk past, each time I walk past, happy birthday. Okay. I'm thinking it's done. I leave, and on the breezeway, somebody says it. But these are just food factory people. So it's like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. I go in the next day, and the USDA guy, so Coyote Ridge had food factory, and they closed in 2020. We had food factory, so we had USDA come through. They'd come, and they were like a stationary, they'd be there, and then they'd leave. Well, there was, I guess I shouldn't use their names, but this individual, he came to me and he'd say, hey, Cruz, I heard it was your birthday. And then he sang to me in Spanish. At the time, I didn't really know Spanish very well. So I'm like, wait, what? All right. This is really interesting. All right. So it's cool. Fast forward to 2020, Food Factory closes. They've been singing to me happy birthday since. I'll get to that, later, but we're locked down during COVID, and somehow my cellies, they learned about this. So now I'm in minimum, and they learned about that. People were wishing me happy birthday, so they take it upon themselves to wish me happy birthday every day during our COVID lockdown. There were times that I was sick, when we got moved to isolation. Them guys are singing and having good fun, whatever the case may be. It was really interesting. Yeah, the happy birthday cruise. See, I tell you this story only because it fits it created a way for me to communicate in a better way for people. I'm not really the outgoing speaker. I'm not the guy that's gonna, if there's a room full of people, I'm not going around. Well, now I am, but I'm not really the guy that's going to go around and shake all everybody's hands, see all the smiling faces and all that. It's just not who I am. Like, I guess it's hard. Old habits die hard as far as the military is concerned. But this thing that this clerk started made it to where I can communicate with people more. So indirectly, CI, helped with me being able to communicate with people based off of this joke that's taken legs. There was another thing that happened with these individuals. And before I, get into that story, I talked to somebody that, I was helping, through the workforce development job recently. He left yesterday, actually. He'd just done 20 years, and, I think Miss Wishman's going to be helping him as soon as he calls. But that individual, he told me on Tuesday, everybody you see around you is your extended family. And, it's different because, you don't get along with all your family. You may not talk to all your family. So when he had said that, I'm going to take the wisdom of an old man or an older man. Not like that. But I'm going to take the wisdom of him and, take that to heart. Because really when it comes down to it, there are people that I don't even know that wish me happy birthday every day. Yesterday, during count, a new guard was told by one of these other guards that it was my birthday. So I'm busy doing something, and she knocks on the door and wishes me happy birthday through the glass. So, there's a lot of communication there. It's a lot of, and I'm not going to say that the guards are family and this and that, but everyone, it's an interesting thing. But the next thing that I thought would be important to mention would be the soap fairy. Soap fairy is a really interesting story. I don't know. I hope you find the enjoyment and the happiness that I do. But when I was in Medium, when I first started working as a QC, I would order commissary, and it was really interesting how the red box items would never be there when I'd get back from work. The red box items being, soap. So I'd get back to work, or I'd get back from work, go to the unit to get my commissary. I'd get, all my little treats and goodies or whatever the case may be, you know, seasonings, and then they wouldn't have the soap. That went on for, you know, 3 or 4 times. And it started to really aggravate me because I needed soap. And you can't really go and ask people for things because, well, this is a different type of place sometimes. So I went to work and I told the boss, hey, I need to go back only during my my times for, you know, commissary so I can make sure that I get my soap. That happened twice. The third time when I'm trying to leave, I got told that I have to stay. So I'm kind of, you know, kind of a little irritated. Like, hey, I'm not going to get my soap today. They're going to take it and, you know, I need it. So I go into the office and one of the clerks is looking at me. He's like, Cruz, I thought we were friends. Why wouldn't you tell me that you needed soap? Why wouldn't you tell me this, this, and that? He's like, well, it wasn't really it's not your, you know, your problem. And then, you know, I should get it. Well, they're saying it's okay. It's taken care of. Don't worry about it. I'm a little confused. So the shift's over. I run to the clean room to, you know, change from this jumpsuit to, you know, the clothes. And I realize that there's soaps in the cubbies. There's like 3 soaps. I think I remember 3. It might have been 2, but there were 3 soaps in the cubbies. I'm sitting there looking at these soaps. And that just got out of hand. It was actually really cool because what ended up happening was when I moved to minimum, I was in my living unit one night and I go to sleep and I wake up and there's a pyramid of soaps on the table. So I'm trying to figure out how and why this happens. So everyone felt compelled to come together and make sure that I was getting my soaps and that we were able to, you know, do our jobs. Because in the food factory, when we were, in Coyote Ridge, that was a really tight-knit group. Like, matter of fact, everyone that's still here, when we greet each other, it's warm and it's really nice. Because, you know, like I said before, when I first got here, there was a fog. It's like, I'm lost. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, at this present time, you know, I can really see the humanity in everybody around me, which is a really cool thing. Let's talk about that. Okay, so
Mr. Cruz, would you be open to questions after you're done with your story? Would you be open to questions from the advisory council?
Of course.
Okay.
How much time do I have? How much time do you want me to limit?
We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay. All right. That's cool. So I'm gonna jump to the stuff I currently do. So I told you all those stories to really set how this works for me. So workforce development was kind of limited during COVID. So when I was given the position, I worked with the workforce development specialist, which they call navigators now, for about a year before she left. And then I had to, you know, ask a bunch of people to figure out if I can stay doing this position. And, you know, obviously you can see I'm still here. I used all these communication gold mine pieces, like the personableness and all these people wanting to say hello all the time, as a way to contact people that, you know, needed help. So I don't know why some people may feel intimidated to, you know, come and talk to me, because I'm really not a mean person or whatever the case. But sometimes it may, you know, I may have that that appearance. But if you come and talk to me, I'll do whatever I can do to help you, period. And any one of them guys that, you know, I've helped that are gone, or any one of these guys currently, will tell you, if you got a problem, I'm going to do whatever I can do without getting in trouble to help you. We needed to work and say, hey, can we start these, start these classes up? Figure out, I'll put the list together. I'll compile whoever needs to, be there for that. And then, we'll just run them as we go. We've been doing it ever since. With the help of Mr. Nelson here and the staff, we're rocking it. I try to make sure that whenever you hear workforce development or the team in Coyote Ridge, there's a smile on your face. And I think I've done a good job doing that because they're always smiling. Smiling. I guess I'll go ahead.
This is Jamie Dolan, Director with Correctional Industries. So I have a question for you. So I know that you're working as a clerk assisting workforce development, which I know our workforce development team, for those of you on the call that don't know, they teach our soft skills classes called Making It Work, which is a 20-hour course. They teach the financial literacy class, and then we have internal workforce development navigators that work alongside our staff in the operations. And then we have one community employment navigator that helps with that post-release employment. And I know you spoke about Ms. Wisman a little earlier. But with the work that you're doing and supporting our staff and that post-release employment readiness, is there any gaps that you see that we could be better and do better at?
Gaps. Yeah, so when you say gaps, what are we?
Opportunities for improvement, other things that we can help individuals, from incarceration to post-release employment. And again, now it's not the only opportunity. I don't want to put you solely on the spot. I know you collaborate with Mr. Nelson, and we can always connect, after this as well. It's not like it's your only opportunity to answer the question, but if there's, opportunities.
Absolutely. So this is the main thing that I really want to push. I started my release planning extremely early. A lot of people don't like that. Well, I'm not going to necessarily say they don't like it, but they don't advise it. A lot of times people say, oh, well, 36 months to the gate, or, if you're, past 7, then it's, too early to start talking about it. But you need to practice first. So if you're being overwhelmed with a bunch of information or a bunch of things that you need to do, and then all of a sudden you're not able to, meet the occasion to do it, then yeah, you might release, but you probably are going to come back. So I feel that if you're not having an active, if you're not paying attention to your release as early as possible, you're doing yourself a disservice on either side. So whether it's on my side or on your guys' side, release is the ultimate goal. And getting to that goal, you don't start a few years. Like if you've done decades and then you start, 3 years before you leave, it's not going to stick. So I wouldn't normally, I wouldn't have started. So I'll take myself, for instance. I'm 8 years into a 23-year sentence. All right. If I start at the 20th year, I'm setting myself up for failure. That's not to say that I may or may not fail, but I could be at a better point if I would have started early. Now, what that looks like for your support is how you can support that. I'm not 100% sure on what could happen there. We can discuss those types of things, but I feel that the gaps really,
Yeah, appreciate that. Okay, so it looks like Mr. Chambers from the public has a question for you. Jim?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for your story. And second of all, just share with you, I did serve 23 years in Washington State Prison, so I understand what you're going through and I understand how you have to advocate. I think the biggest thing for me is it's not really a question, it's kind of a comment, is like people inside are often uh, don't have the ability to advocate for themselves in the right way and they get frustrated and stop advocating for what they really need. And I just want to agree with the speaker that you have to start your reentry from the day you get to prison. And I think that's a huge issue. I talked to a reentry navigator yesterday who says they get access to people at 60 days to the gate. And like, you know, for me, I think 24 months is even a little too short to start meeting with people and building relationships to be able to support them coming home. So it's just, for me, I think we all just need, I do work in the community. I bring people home every day and work with them. And if I can't serve them in my organization, I send them to other organizations. And so I just want like access to people inside so we can start building these relationships and having community around people when they come home, because that's the important thing. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Is there any other questions for Mr. Cruz?
Jamie, this is Danielle. I'll jump in just quickly, and then if others have questions. Mr. Cruz, first of all, I just want to say thank you for your time this morning and for your story and sharing your story. I also want to congratulate you on your associate's degrees. I think you said 2, but I might have misheard. Yep, good job. And that you're going to finish your bachelor's degree. So congratulations. We're super proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your story. And also, I just want to follow up on what Jamie said earlier, that if there are gaps or other things that you think about, if you could just share those with Mr. Nelson so that we can get those suggestions back to us. We're always looking for opportunities to increase programming and soft skills training for the population. And so just reach back out to Mr. Nelson and share anything that you might have. Also, I just want to say to you, thank you for being a role model to the population. Thank you for, I can just see your passion and just encourage your, you know, the individuals that are with you to continue to focus on reentry and to focus on programming and to focus on all the opportunities that are available to them. So I wish you nothing but the best success. And know that you have all of us rooting for you as you continue your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. And it looks like we do have time for a few more questions. So it looks like we've got maybe three more questions. Mina, looks like you're up first.
Good morning. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your experiences. I serve on the Correctional Industries Advisory Board as a labor representative. However, I have lived experience. I served quite a bit of time in the women's prison, and I just wanted to say thank you. There isn't anything you can't accomplish. I see a lot of your story is similar to mine. I started getting my undergrad work done during my incarceration, and it has served me well. The sky is the limit, and continue advocating for yourself and for those around you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Mina. Megan?
Hi, Donovan. Thank you for coming and sharing parts of your story today. I'm with the Department of Corrections and I'm the Director of Person-Centered Services and also a person with experience of incarceration. And I want to thank you for elevating or speaking about your peers, the person that you were sharing a room with, because I think when we talk about reentry starting at day 1, it starts with our peers. And so I appreciate that. Thank you for elevating that. And I think we need to talk more about how that happens and how we can encourage that positive peer interaction. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Ilani?
Hi, James. I'm a wife of a formerly incarcerated individual, and I just want to thank you for your bravery here today. And thank you for, really going into depth about the how you were treated. I think that people on the committee really need to address this. And I'm sorry that you had to be falsely accused of the stealing. I'm sure that wasn't easy for you going through that period, and great job for advocating for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good
morning.
Go ahead, Christina, sorry.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you today?
Good, thank you. I appreciate you coming in and being transparent and sharing your experience while incarcerated. I have been in the criminal justice field myself for over 18 years. And one of the things that I advocate for are the things like what you're talking about, and reentry is really important. And I agree with some of the voices from today as well, that it starts the day you get there. And I'd like to consider, for all of us to consider in this gentleman's hearing and all of the committee hearing is those that are in position that we're talking about, these are their areas of expertise, is the question of how this can be a part of residents like our speaker today is a part of intake. Like what type of assessment tools and evaluation tools are we having in place that works with classification and the behavioral health counselors, the case managers, if those exist inside of these DOCs. When I worked DOC and I worked probation parole, it was in another state, and part of that inside intake was assigning people to a case manager throughout their incarceration. This person was someone who they checked in with on a monthly basis that can assist them with something similar to what we do as civilians on our job, and that's developing an individual development plan, IDP. And if we did something in that type of concept, you get to dream up what you think incarceration should look like as far as groups, classes, things like that, that you should be attached to, so that we could sign folks up for those things throughout, not just to please probation or what have you, but that we're helping them with the life skill sets, job skill sets, personal skill sets, personality skill sets necessary for them to go back to community readjusted. So when we look at something like that, we should also consider how can we pace that out throughout a sentence, something like his, which is quite a long time. And how does that partnering look like with your programs teams when they're recruiting such volunteers or providers that can come inside and give these type of classes and groups, and the type of, and also selecting the type of volunteers and group sets that not only can bring this inside, but their stuff exists strongly in the community. So when he gets out, and if he's not finished with the class, he can continue that class in the community with that, partnership made because they came into the walls and he's aware of who they are and where they exist. That's my 2 cents for today. But thank you again, sir. We appreciate what everybody does here to make what we do a success and what we can do to improve.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Senator Wilson.
Good morning, and Donovan, thanks so much for your words and your expertise and sharing your experience, because I think it's critically important. And I would just reach out to this group and ask you to keep your eyes on legislation as it moves through our channels when session is in order for. We've had a number of reentry bills, especially talking exactly about what we're talking about today, is that reentry should start the day one enters a facility, not 30 days before pre-release. And so have done a lot of work in the waiver space, and also continuing to think about employment and housing and the cross-system sector work that the speaker just spoke about, where we have a bridge and a facilitated bridge to reentry and reintegration. And I think a part of this is our communities at large don't necessarily know that individuals don't release with a plan and don't have that opportunity. And so look forward to your voices. As Chair of Human Services in the Senate, those things come through my committee, and they're very important to me as we change a culture that has never been put in place to get people out. It's been put in place to keep people right where they are. And DOC can want all they want in the world and every individual on this Zoom, and teams can want everything, but we also have to have it pass the floor of the House and the Senate and have to have the fiscal support to make that happen. And that's my job, to kind of disrupt some of those systems. So appreciate all the input today and the conversations, and I appreciate the solution focused on what it is we need to do to make it different, not only for you, regardless of how long your sentence is, but for others as well. It's critically important. So thanks for your voice, and thanks for representing a number of individuals I know are happy to hear you speak. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Senator Wilson. Terry?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Donovan, for sharing your story. And thank you too for the call to action for advocacy, because I do believe firmly that that is a part of the responsibility and the obligation of this committee, is to be looking for those opportunities to advocate in behalf of incarcerated individuals and to improve the experiences so that we reduce the rates of recidivism, and that you do have those opportunities to grow and develop as a human, though your circumstances have you within an institution. Thank you to Senator Wilson for sharing the updates on the bills, and I will reach out to you as I believe I am still the only representative in Eastern Washington on this committee. I know I say it all the time. I'd sure love to have some additional help. But one of the things that we have to consistently work to do is to provide information, input, and feedback to those who are releasing, I believe, about other resources that are available that aren't necessarily funded by the state or the government or the municipalities that individuals are releasing into. And so I will use my organization, Partners in the Northwest, as an example. There are lots and lots of these types of organizations out there. If we could get this information into the hands of those who are looking to release, so that they know if you're releasing to, the Inland Northwest, the Spokane County, Stevens County, wherever, and you need assistance with food or with clothing or with diapers, or with emergency assistance, that you know who to call and you know where to come. So I thank everyone for their time. I appreciate the call to action for advocacy, and I'm very, very proud of you, sir, for all of the things that you are accomplishing. And thank you for
very much.
sharing.
Thank you, Terry. So, Mr. Cruz, again, obviously, we appreciate your voice being here. Your voice, means a lot to myself as the Director of Correctional Industries, and just knowing how we can do better and be better. We're here for the sole purpose of supporting the individuals that we serve. That's our goal and mission with Correctional Industries, is to utilize those work programs for post-release employment opportunities. And so, again, I look forward to further engaging the conversation with you on ideas and thoughts that you have. So just with that said, we're kind of at the closing remarks time for yourself. Is there any final thoughts that you wanted to share with the committee?
I just wanted to say, thank you for, the time to, talk to you guys. I appreciate it. I saw some faces that I haven't seen in a while. Mr. Klein, how you doing? I see Mimi's icon. That's pretty cool. Miss Jensen. I just wanted to, thank everyone for, allowing me. Hey, just wanted to thank everybody for allowing me to, say hello and tell you about myself and the things that I've experienced and done while here. I agree with. I don't know what these unverified, little marker things mean, but I agree with a lot of what they've been saying because it's what I live. So, thank you for validating. saying, not, saying it's, hearsay or whatever the case may be. But thank you. I appreciate it. I hope to continue to do this job, here and then at other facilities, because I really do like helping others, and I'll do it until I leave. I'll do it after I leave if you guys give me a job.
Well, thank you, Mr. Cruz, and thank you, Jim Nelson, for helping organize this space for Donovan. So really appreciate that. So,
You're welcome.
Oh, go ahead, Jim. Okay, so we'll move back into our, the kind of final portion of our advisory committee. We've got about 15 minutes left here. Let's just get back to the PowerPoint. Really, while we're navigating that, really the next topic was, and I briefed it a little bit earlier in the meeting. So since our last meeting, we did have a closure of 2 locations. So we had a closure of textiles at WCCW, and we have 2 textiles operations at Airway Heights, and we closed one of the 2. Unfortunately, the reason for those closures at WCCW, they really focused on embroidery and screen printing, which was a redundant operation of one of our locations at Airway Heights. And really the decision to close that operation was really strictly financially driven. I know I've talked about this in a couple meetings, that it was significant financial losses for the last 5 years in that operation. And again, with us not receiving appropriated funding to cover those expenses, we just could no longer sustain that program. And really the same goes for the one operation at Airway Heights. The workload at Airway Heights was absorbed we still have a textiles location at Coyote Ridge, which Mr. Cruz spoke a little bit about. And then we have another textiles operation at Washington Correction Center, and then still the 3rd textiles operation at Airway Heights. So again, those decisions were really driven solely by just the financial inability to maintain those operations. And again, when talking about that, that's staff salaries, that's incarcerated pay, that's maintaining appropriate equipment to sustain the operations, transportation expenses that move and transport the products. So it ties in a little bit with the conversation about future CI shops. So, one thing I know that we talk a lot about is that space is a premium in facilities when it comes to programming. And obviously you heard Mr. Cruz talk about education and the importance of that. And obviously that takes physical space in some cases. So with the space at Airway Heights, I believe education is looking at additional education opportunities. And so I know the community partner there is, of course, Spokane Community Colleges. And so I know they're exploring some potential opportunities in that now vacant space. And then at WCCW, that conversation is really to be continued. Myself and the other my counterparts within the reentry division were there on Tuesday this week, talking with facility leadership and staff. And again, just in that brainstorming phase, really, of future opportunities. I know Danielle spoke a little bit about this, that our goal really is to have meaningful programs, right? Programs that yes, there's soft skill development, and we can have those other opportunities such as the financial literacy and the mock interviews. But the point of the program is creating that space and that opportunity for those soft skills training. And you heard Mr. Cruz talk a lot about the importance of that. It's just being able to, communicate and, how do you, making it work teaches, how do you deal with stressful situations? How do you deal with conflict and, conflict resolution with either your supervisor or your coworker? And so, and for us within correctional industries, again, our challenge is having a program that does generate enough revenue to cover the expenses. So that's really the unique challenge. But again, I would love to communicate with anybody on the advisory committee about ideas. We're engaging our staff and our current incarcerated workers about what that might look like. So with that, next I'll turn it to Todd.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. Just as an update, in regards to our financials for this last fiscal year. So hopefully you're able to see in your, materials that were sent out as far as the 5-year performance comparison. As far as the overall, trends, they remained relatively the same in regards to revenue, to cost of goods sold, and our operating expenses and so on. We did see a slight decrease as far as the revenue year over year from 23 to 24. We did see increases in regards to our cost of goods sold and our operating expenses, not unexpected. What most saw in business and in our individual lives as far as costs increasing out there in regards to raw materials and just the cost of doing business. We did see just a small net income for this last year. We did have a really good opportunity to reinvest into our businesses. As a reminder, excuse me, we are not appropriated funds to correctional industries in order to operate. We do have to support the operations that we do. So the revenue we receive, we invest that back into our businesses. So we had the opportunities, like Brian pointed out, we were able to do some vehicle replacements there. We were able to do some equipment replacements in other areas, update some technology in other areas, which hopefully is, of course, keeping in line with industry standard for our incarcerated. So they're learning on the newest things and not old technology as they're reaching their release. I don't think it goes without saying that as far as the outlook so far for this fiscal year, it is starting off a little soft. We're not substantially down as far as revenue or anything like that is concerned, but people are a little cautious right now as far as their spending habits. I think, as far as this state's concerned, people are being a little reserved to see what the election looks like and what the budgets look like and things like that. A lot of our businesses is tied to the different state agencies, and so a lot of are being cautious at this point, which is to be expected, and we'll see how the year progresses. But we're as well being very conscientious about our funds and how we spend them, and we look to come out, to try to reach that net neutral by the end of the fiscal year, but also being very cognizant of how we spend our money and how we progress along through the year. So I don't know if anyone on the committee has any questions, but that's the financial update right now.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. So really, we're at the end of the meeting here. I know there's a couple minutes left, but just wanted to open it up for anybody on the committee that might have a question for myself or any of the other staff. Pause for a minute. Terry?
Hi, I just was curious as to who is traveling to Airway Heights Correctional Center next week. I'm looking forward to being there at about 7:30 on Tuesday morning to participate in the mock interviews. I'm really excited about this. I don't know if the incarcerated individuals are gonna think it's as great as I do. I hope they do, but I'm very excited about it. I just was curious to see who was traveling and who I might be able to grab a few minutes with prior to the start of the day.
Hi, Terry, it's Lindsay. I will be over there next week I'll travel over on Monday and be over there all day on Tuesday for the mock interview. So there'll be opportunity to connect then.
Yeah, and Terry, I'll also be there as well. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you on, I'll be there Tuesday and a little bit on Wednesday. And then I know Mimi Jansen has raised her hand. I don't know if Mimi you wanted to share anything. Oh,
She is.
I know, yeah. Great appreciation to you, Terry. Thank you so, so much for
welcome.
volunteering and helping us. And as other people have mentioned, they're going to be there too. 7:30 is great. We're expecting everybody about 7:45, so we're looking forward to that. And there are 30 incarcerated individuals who will be participating over the course of 2 days. So we're very, very excited about serving them and giving them this experience. So I just wanted to give you that information and thank you again. If you have any questions, you know to reach out to me.
You betcha. Thank you. Thanks for putting all of this together.
And Terry, I'm no big deal, but I'll be over there too. Be over there too, but I won't be there until the afternoon session on Tuesday, and then I'll be there all day Wednesday. Two
Oh,
sessions.
shoot. I might miss you, unfortunately. When we had to reschedule this, I was unable to commit to a full day, so I'm just there in the morning on Tuesday. But again, thank you all for what you do, and these are great opportunities again for us to advocate in behalf of our incarcerated population and to participate in some of these pretty important functions. So thanks for including me, as always.
thank you, Terry. Any other final closing thoughts from anybody on the committee? Okay, well, I appreciate the time and the conversation. Of course, our next meeting is, of course, our December advisory committee meeting. With that, we do have our annual report that should come out prior to that meeting. So that will be a part of all of the meeting minutes and the materials in preparation for the next meeting. I know I've had the opportunity to have some meetings scheduled in between our June meeting and this meeting with some of our advisory committee members in terms of how we can partner in between meetings. And so, you know, I'm always looking forward to those opportunities as well, and further engagement. So, you know, certainly please don't hesitate to reach out. With that being said, please notate in the minutes, it's 10:56 and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.